Cutters, Degrassi, Unpopular Opinions. Hey there, hello, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Doggy welcoming you to another Degrassi Unpopular Opinions. And today we're looking at the leniency or the draconian style of punishments in the Degrassi series. Somebody posted a Degrassi punishments thing on Reddit recently. And basically, Flannelist the Color said that no matter what someone does in school, I'll be seeing you in detention. They'll get maybe 1 or 2 days for something that's more serious in detention, but they get 2 weeks for something minor because of reasons. And saying basically that some people get suspended for something less crazy than the shit that got someone else weeks of detention for. So basically, that was a good point, and that was the basis of one of my videos. So this unpopular opinion is basically why couldn't there be a middle ground with punishments? Obviously. So what you got here is basically the problem that we all know and don't like to talk about is the practicality that, there's a lot of punishments going on in the school system that are not as high end as they should be, or they're too low end. There are many examples and all that. I don't know too many punishments that have went on in season 1 of Next Generation, other than Raj telling Spinner that basically you're going to be taking your Ritalin prescriptions in front of me so that I know you have them. Because, Spinner basically didn't take a medication as he gave a dose to Jimmy so that Jimmy could do better on the basketball team than Sean. And basically, Spinner went off the rails, and that's why he took Ritalin. But although we never got to hear about that ever again, I think maybe Spinner realized he had to. All that. And of course, we all know that Spinner took the punishment because he refused to name Jimmy as co-conspirator. Season 2 was basically the point of them being more that the punishment was too draconian. So basically, in Fight for Your Right, Emma and her group of GMO crusaders, non-GMO crusaders, including Ashley, tried to make a presentation to Mr. Raj saying that we could do non-GMO foods in the cafeteria. And all that. Raj agrees that they have a good presentation, but he said that because of budgetary problems and the fact that we're lucky to have a calf, I can't do it. But good presentation, though. Emma, of course, takes as a sign that basically Raj was just being stupid. But the fact of the matter is many teenagers don't know how the school functions with a budget and all that. So basically, So Emma gets mad and then distributes flyers. Raj takes them away. Just takes them away. And Emma was going to concede before that stupid calf commercial happened. Was that Raj basically making fun of her, or was it the cafeteria people making fun of her? So basically she takes it harshly, and she basically accidentally starts a food fight. Raj basically suspended her for the rest of the day instead of giving her detention. I think he just didn't want Emma around at the school because he thinks that Emma is probably going to convince some people about this non-GMO stuff. That's kind of stupid. You can just put her in detention and she would have taken it. But of course Emma is upset, saying that you're angry because of my rights of freedoms. My freedom of speech. So basically she decides to protest. Raj basically gets angry that she would defy him, even though she's not on school property. Technically she isn't. So Raj basically tells Emma one thing, is that you either apologize for everything that's gone on today, or you'll be suspended for the rest of the week. So basically, Emma doesn't understand what's going on. She talks to Simpson about it. Simpson says, as an educator, I can't really help you. But as a parent, I am all for it. Basically, Simpson is just basically knowing that he can't get the wrath of his administrator. So Emma decides to apologize. She says the rights, and she felt bad about the food fight. But then she basically said that she can't apologize for everything else. She'll apologize for the food fight in the GMO foods thing. But her freedom of speech was taken away from her. And basically the principal basically told her that to apologize or you're suspended for the rest of the week. And she says, I'll take the punishment. Of course, Raj was, of course, peeved because not only is Emma going against him, she basically tells the whole school about his policies. So basically, in his mind, he's now worried that the students will basically be all over him, basically testing out his boundaries. And basically, he probably thinks that now the students are going to try to take over the school from his reign of terror, if you will. So that's why he acts a little bit cold towards Emma for the next few seasons until he's gone. So anyhow, you got that. But season 3 also was about the punishments and all that. Terrible punishments and all that. I mean, Raj got mad at Jay and Sean when they were fighting outside school grounds. So Raj couldn't really do too much. But the Breakfast Club thing. I know Degrassi wanted to do a Breakfast Club thing, but all these people should have been put in weekly detention or suspended. I mean, Hazel looking at inappropriate sites, you just send her to detention for a few days. Not Saturday. Well, even if it's for one day of detention, I mean, why Saturday? Why not like Wednesday or Thursday or something? Ellie gets in trouble for cutting class, but Ellie did that on purpose to write an article about people. Now, a lot of people also thought that Raj was behind this thing, having Ellie spy on them, but it wasn't his fault. It was Ellie. Ellie wanted to get something for her newspaper co-op. So basically, she did it on purpose and all that. I mean, cutting class for detention, she could have done something else, like slap somebody. Toby and Toby and Jimmy got in trouble for changing grades on the school computer. Yes, that's detention worthy, but it could have been a suspension and an investigation by the police because, privacy issues and all that. I don't know why Toby would do such a thing. Well, I know Toby did that to try to get Jimmy to like him, but I mean, Toby could have got himself in a whole lot of trouble. And, Toby tried to do stuff on a computer to try to prevent his parents from going to parents' night and all that. And Simpson snapped at him, gave him an essay to do. But Simpson also tells Toby that he's proud that Toby took a stand for himself. So that's great. Yeah, but basically, yeah. And then, of course, Sean, he basically slaps with 4 weeks of Saturday detention. No, 8 weeks, sorry, for basically telling Raj off and all that. I can probably guess that Emma's thing that she basically called him out in front of the whole school was at mine. I think he just basically became darker and darker because he needed to try to take control of the school back. Simpson does tell Raj that basically these kids are trying to do well and they should be punished. Well, they should be punished, but they should have been punished within the week. Even a few days suspension, that's fair enough. But yeah, I mean, it was fair. But I think Simpson basically thought that Raj was being unfair. And he got into Raj's head. Thank goodness for that. So anyway, I'm saying, but there's one other punishment that should have been made that wasn't there, and that was Rick and all that. Of course, Rick didn't get in trouble for hurting Terry off school grounds when he pushed her in that alleyway. And basically, he didn't seem to be punished for what he did to Terry on the rock. Now, a lot of people are like, wait a minute. His mom was carrying a box of things out. Was he expelled? Unfortunately, that's false. He was never expelled. The truth of the matter is that basically his parents pulled him out of the school, I think for his own safety. Now, whether or not Rick actually admitted his faults to his parents is up in the air. I mean, for one point, you say, well, he had to have said something because, I mean, his mom got his stuff for him and he couldn't walk into the school. Or Rick could have kind of lied and said that there was an accident and now the school's going to go after me and all that. I mean, on the second point, his mom could have talked to Radich about it. But basically she said, well, I can't trust the school with Rick, so I'm going to pull him out. A lot of people say, why didn't he get punished for that? Well, he got out of school, but his parents pulled him out, and he was allowed to come back. But he did lose a year, so yeah. But of course, as we know in the deleted scene in Mercy Street, is that basically Raj said that he never had a criminal charge against him because the police and or the school board would have said something to Raj, and Raj probably would have balked at letting Rick back, saying that, Rick's going to earn his way back to Degrassi. So, yeah. I know a lot of people said they were too lenient towards Rick on that thing and all that. But, I mean, that's bad. But what you got also is the school being too lenient towards the students who caused this commotion in the first place. I mean, you could tell that a lot of students were basically just harassing him in such a way. And it seemed that Spinner was the only one to have gone to the principal's office for harassing Rick, and no one else got any punishment and all that. I know that he was beat up outside the dot by Jay and Spinner and Alex. And basically, it's outside school grounds, and that messy paperwork stuff happens. I mean, Emma could have probably, after Emma was shunned by Paige and her clique, Emma could have turned on them and basically got them in trouble, stating all these things and all that. I know Emma probably would have gotten in trouble herself, but I think Emma probably could have just ratted on Paige and the clique, saying that, they're doing these stupid things. They're beating up Rick outside the school. They're doing all this and that. Emma would be in trouble, but Emma at least would get them into trouble. So basically, it's, if I'm going down with the ship, you're going down with me. That philosophy and all that. It was just sickening to see how the students avoided severe punishment for their bullying of Rick and all that. And everyone in the school was just wanting Rick out of the school and all that. Yeah, of course, we all know that Spinner and Jay got expelled, but Alex never got in trouble. Well, mostly because Spinner and Jay kept their mouths shut about her. But, I mean, Alex could have just taken her lumps and just basically told somebody that she was involved in it. I mean, Hatzilakos could have been leaning on her because of women's rights and all that. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that, women's rights are very huge. And, Hatzilakos may have given Alex the benefit of the doubt. I think Alex probably would have been given a suspension, not expulsion, but basically, and then she'd get stripped of her student council, vice presidency. And maybe Liberty gets to be vice president somehow. Unless Marco got to pick his new vice president. And I mean, it was weird seeing that people saying that, well, yeah, Hatzilakos threw the book at Jay and Spinner because of the zero tolerance policy. But we're like, we've never heard about the zero tolerance policy. I'm thinking that the school board basically threw the no tolerance policy at Degrassi as a way of punishing them for what happened to Rick. Yeah, of course, Rick had a gun and all that. But I mean, the school board put them up to it. It's like, this is the best way to punish Degrassi and all that, is zero tolerance from here on out. So basically, they're going to be scrutinized and all that for what they did to Rick. Even though that Rick was the bad guy the whole time. I mean, they put him into a situation. Of course, it wasn't all their fault that Rick started to become a psychopath and tried to shoot Jimmy and all that. It was just basically Spinner and Jay. And a lot of people were surprised that Spinner and Jay were allowed to try to come back the next year. Spinner wanted a redemption song, and he did it. He did it, and he perfectly capitulated himself. And Jay basically said that the school knew that Spinner was weak and basically wanted him to tell the truth. But Spinner told the truth. And I think he was just upset that Spinner ratted on Jay. So yeah, that was perfect. I mean, let's see, what other type of punishments? I know Emma got a suspension because of her protest against Lakehurst. Because, Lakehurst had two guys cause trouble, and then one of them stabbed JT in the aorta and killed him and all that. Now, of course, Emma wasn't always going for Lakehurst. I mean, Emma had a point. Lakehurst was coming into the school for a competition. If Lakehurst was not coming into Degrassi for something, I think Emma probably would have stayed out of it and focused her anger on Manny, but not Lakehurst. Emma was justified. I mean, people from Lakehurst killed JT, which happened in front of her house. And basically, that's terrible. And also adds the fact that Manny refuses to talk to Emma and is stating that the Lakehurst Student Council president, of all things, Emma knew that she couldn't ignore it. She had to blow some steam. And like it or not, she did. And basically, Manny and Emma became friends after that. That's good. And what about the punishment for Darcy? When Darcy accused Simpson falsely of stuff and all that, did Darcy deserve to be punished? She kind of was punished in a way. She self-punished herself and all that. I mean, why wasn't she punished after she admitted she lied to everybody about Simpson? She should have been put in detention and all that. Well, she had some detentions and all that from previous episodes. But I think that basically the school board couldn't punish Darcy because they probably thought that Simpson had talked to Darcy about clearing his name. But I think the investigation also said that Darcy was being legitimate and that Simpson didn't make contact with Darcy. What about, the punishment style of Radish was a little too far-fetched in a sense. And basically, he got serious at Liberty and JT over the play. I mean, mocking them and all that. I think if Liberty and JT basically didn't attack Radish's character, Radish probably would have been like, why are you not going to put this musical on? I mean, Radish basically was kind of the villain in a sense. Like putting Liberty and JT in detention over just insulting him and all that. That's kind of like Emma in season 2. I mean, everyone knew that was going to be. I don't think that contributed to his downfall, contributed to his being reassigned, but that would have been the last straw. Custer's last stand, if you will. Now, of course, students getting punished and all that. For, underpunished. We talk about Peter, season 5, when he distributed Manny's topless video around the school. Of course, Peter was wanting Manny to go out with him. Manny refused, saying that, why don't you go out with Emma? And basically, after that, Peter says, I want money, $3,000 for a new camera. And Manny tries to get him the money, but she can't get cash. So basically, he says, that's it. You know what to do. So Peter basically gets in a lot of trouble. He gets a lot of detentions. But it's the leniency of Hatzilakos. I mean, Hatzilakos would have been a fantastic principal that people liked, but they hated her because she seemed to be more lenient towards Peter. I mean, she let her parental views get in front of her principal views. I know that principals sometimes get shat on because, they're Furies and all that. Basically, they're a little old school and stiff. But, I mean, that's one person who should have been more stiff, is Hatzilakos. Peter should have been suspended or expelled. Peter should have been suspended or expelled about the mask. Well, the mask put in Emma's locker. And the revelation that, Peter put drugs in Sean's locker to get rid of Sean. I mean, what the hell's going on with Peter and Sean? Peter, it's like, Peter's in trouble for that street race. But, I mean, why couldn't Hatzilakos have just suspended her? Maybe she did suspend him. But she didn't expel him because Peter was around season 6 still at Degrassi. It's like, I mean, Emma should have done something too. Emma should have told Peter that you tell your mom about what happened or I will. And basically force Peter to admit that he planted drugs in Sean's locker to keep his relationship with Emma alive. I know Simpson said he was going to talk to Hatzilakos, but Sean said, it's pointless. I don't think it would have been pointless. I think Hatzilakos probably would have been confronted by this, and basically, she would have had to change her tone. Well, of course, Peter had the troubles with Darcy sending racy photos to this Adams guy. But Peter didn't actually know the guy, but he got lucky as fuck. He should have been put in detention of that. Although Peter did go to Brad camp with Mia. I mean, not with Mia, with Darcy, and things happened. I mean, what about season 7? Was Emma justly punished for her purple dragon thing? Yeah, because she broke the dress code. And Hatzilakos knew that Emma's policy, talking about purple dragon's policies, were true. So basically, yeah, she got in trouble for the dress code. But But, Purple Dragon knew that they couldn't win the fight. And basically, they changed their strategies and all that. And then basically, season 8, it's like the chef was mad at Connor. I mean, yeah, expelling him over a few incidents that he pushed somebody. He should have been given a suspension, not a expulsion. I mean, yeah, what Connor did to Allie was wrong. I know that it's wrong, but I mean, he could have suspended her. But basically, he was just trying to make a point that says that anyone who's a freak or not a non-jock or a non-hot person basically will get in a lot of trouble. Claire managed to call him out. That video on his Principal of the Year thing happened, and basically he had to go to sensitivity training. The school board didn't want to fire him. I don't know why. But yeah. Of course, everyone says that, did detention go overboard? I mean, did the school go overboard with punishments after Simpson's reign, and did they go lenient? Yes, they did. I mean, Zoe was cyberbullying Maya. Maya did a little bit of retaliation. She got herself a week of suspension, and she had to be put in the remedial room. What the hell, Simpson? I mean, Maya just did a retaliation by song. It could have been worse. Maya could have plotted to destroy Zoe once and for all, like through other avenues, worse avenues. Some say that his suspension of Cam was terrible, but Cam did beat up another classmate and basically made no qualms about it. Simpson, I think, was kicking himself for not realizing Cam had problems, but Cam himself was the cause of a few things. He could have told Simpson, and Simpson would have understood because he had to deal with a situation like that when Rick died and all that. So yeah. The whole racism plot from next class. Frankie during that racist poster. Frankie just got kicked off the team. She didn't get any punishment whatsoever, and Tiny ended up being suspended for a week because of him trying to defend Lola. And Simpson basically jumped on things. And of course, Paige and Marco actually said something that the school board and Simpson basically try to punish people more so because of their ethnicity and everything. I mean, a lot of people probably would point out about Frankie's privilege and all that. And, her dad's the mayor of Toronto, so maybe Simpson could have been hesitant to punish Frankie because all of a sudden it's like he doesn't want to get the wrath of the mayor of Toronto. And, Mr. Hollingsworth could have done something to hurt Degrassi's reputation. That's the problem. When you're the mayor and your kids go to that school, basically you control the school. Maybe Snake's hands were tied. That's a possibility. But I mean, yeah, Frankie kind of got punished in a sense. She tried to run away from her problems, but realized she couldn't, and she made a very deep-hearted apology and basically said that she should have been listening to people instead of trying to make them slide off of her. Well, a lot of this punishment problem is due to Simpson's, and I don't like to say it, but bipolar principal style. You can either be the good principal that basically likes the students, or the bad principal who basically punishes people left, right, and center for minor things. But it might not all be Simpson's fault. Could the school board have done something about it? I already did an unpopular opinion about the fact that maybe the school board was imposing these punishments and that Simpson had to follow them. Maybe Simpson was hesitant to punish people for a long time. But I also say this about Vegas Night. Were the punishments suitable after Vegas Night? I say yes, they were. But most of it was school board thing. Mrs. Torres basically told Snake to shape up or ship out. And Snake had to. I think Snake was hesitant to, but Snake basically did this punishment. And everyone thought that Snake was just being unreasonable. I think a few people did know that the school board was pushing him and not Mrs. Torres. And not himself. That basically he was hesitant. I could see hesitancy on Snake's part for this stuff. but that doesn't include it. So Degrassi was either up or down with their punishments. Not too many punishments were clean cut and in the middle of the whole thing. So, because there that. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm Jeff Diamond.